Good afternoon, and welcome back. Now we are having the panel discussion that we have all been waiting for. So here we're going to try to dissect some of the questions that we have prepared, and of course there are also questions that we're going to be taking from the audience as well. So please feel free to pose any question. You can use the Q&A panel or icon on your right, and ask these panelists or the panel of experts who will actually make a very good attempt to answer the questions. Now all the speakers that have been presenting are part of the panel discussion, but we also joined by Faheem Ali, the Chief Risk Officer at Musoni Microfinance. I think is based in Kenya. Am I right, Faheem? Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, you're right.
Awesome. You're welcome. So we're looking at how technology is going to transform or is already transforming customer experience or enhancing customer experience within the financial services industry. And maybe before we delve into the questions that we're going to address, I'll just give maybe an opportunity, 30 seconds each for each of the panelists, just to introduce themselves a little bit. Of course, I know the speakers have already introduced themselves, but for the sake of others who just joined us now for the panel, can introduce yourself and maybe give us some opening remarks on this topic at hand. I'll start with you, Matt.
Sure. So I'm Matt. I'm from Zendesk, and one of the things that sort of stands out for me and has stood out in the roundtable before this as well is that a lot of people are trying to run with AI before they walk with the fundamentals. And I think you need to get a lot of those fundamentals and those bases right first before you start to throw AI at it and just hope it's magically going to work.
Okay, awesome. Get the fundamentals first. Hassen.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So yeah, Hassen, Zendesk as well. So basically, the way that you need to think your customer experience is thinking about the ecosystem and the different type of interaction. And when you think about AI, you need to think about three things. It is either you want to predict something, you want to automatize, or you want to predict, automatize, or you want to, sorry, I forget the last point. Yeah, predict, automatize, or retain, basically. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Hassen, for that. Shaun.
Yeah, thank you. Just watching these presentations today, if I was a potential customer looking to set up a business, the three solutions that were presented today pretty much ticks all the boxes from a technology stack to get your business off the ground. We take the fundamentals have just been shown today, and the reality is just choose them right. Don't think about now. Think about weeks and months to come. How fast and how quickly do you intend to grow? How quickly do you intend your customer base to interact with you, and what channels are they going to interact with you on? So those are just some points I would pinpoint.
Thank you, Shaun. I'm sure Charl would like to add on that. And Charl?
Yes, thank you, Santile. So what stood out for me is actually the simplicity of the products, and I think that's quite important. Especially from a user experience and an employee experience. So these products are quite simple to configure, and it's very user friendly. And I think that is quite important. And I like the point that Matt actually raised about companies thinking that they can just start running with artificial intelligence, but they actually need to, you need to go through the phases. You need to start crawling, and you start walking, and then eventually you get to a phase where you're running. So yeah, but my suggestion would always be to start small and then build on top of that. And but yeah, very good session, and yeah, I really enjoyed this whole setup.
Okay, thank you so much, Ajish.
Hey, I'm Ajish from Insider. Again, I think most of the guys covered everything over here in terms of what customer experience would look like. But my 2 cents on it is it's the most important thing, right? And over the next 5 years, like it's going to be of like the most extreme importance like that you can see, because Gen Zs, like they love to shout on Twitter and they love to shout on all the social platforms about bad experiences, right? So it's not the old ones like where you had a bad experience on your telephone and nobody knows about it. So you need to be extremely careful about like what you're doing. And the other part that I would say is it's use the best in class products over here. Like the technologies, most people try to build a lot of things in house. You don't need to do it anymore. You don't need to spend so much time, effort, development on building these things in house. Rather, you have plug and plays like Insider, Zendesk, Genesis. It's much more easier, less time, less development, no headaches between IT teams and the other teams, and of course, like delivering everything on timelines.
Yeah, and no one's redesigning the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ajish, for that. Faheem.
Yeah, so my name is Faheem, and I worked in different market in Central Asia, Asia Pacific, West Africa, and right now I'm in Eastern Africa, and I'm working with Musoni. Musoni is a microfinance banking institution and also systems, Musoni systems. So you may have heard. So I am in charge of chief innovation and also risk and even SPM. So we develop the different products in the digital markets or the digital products, lending products and all that. So from my experience, definitely I can say there's a really need, and today's customers are everlasting expectations from the brands, from your product, and they're really demanding the seamless and timely hyper personal interaction on your products. And some customers actually really want a GAFA like experience, which they really want to go, and most of the banking are still lacking on this one. So definitely will be happy to interact and share my experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faheem. Thank you, gentlemen, for the introductions as well. Maybe to start our first question, it's about artificial intelligence. I think Shaun did a very beautiful demo there about AI in practice. I think if all the presentations, really it was all about the use of these technologies, enhancing customer experience. But my first question, I think I will start with you, Shaun. What are the current uses of AI and challenges in the banking environment? I see that there's already a question there. What is AI? I think someone is asking. Thank you, Hassen. I think Hassen highlighted there it's artificial intelligence. Maybe Shaun, if you can start from there in detail to expand. What is artificial intelligence, and what are the current uses of AI and the challenges within the banking environment?
All right, cool. So firstly, AI is a platform that gets better as it learns. So the more information you feed it, the more intelligent it becomes, right? But one of the biggest challenge I find at the moment is the skill sets in the different sectors, and not just financial, in pretty much all the sectors, is understanding AI and machine learning and implementing it into your organization. So right now, there's a divide between your execs and your staff and your IT, and they're saying, well, we need this. Your RTs are saying, we need this, and then your execs are saying, well, hold on, I don't understand it. And it's educating those people to say, you know what, we need this. It can help our organization to simplify processes, simplify automation, and have better outcomes at the end of the day. So don't be scared of AI. Embrace it. It is here. It is happening. We might not see it. We don't see it every single day, but think about just when you're browsing on your phone and all of a sudden this little ad pops up. That's AI on the back end. It's learning. It's understanding who you are and your what you like and what you don't like. So yeah, it's all about skills. And you know what, the nice thing about these products that you've seen today, they all have AI on the back end empowering the system. So you don't necessarily need to have the skill set to drive it. It drives itself. And embrace these technologies that are available.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone would like to add on what Shaun is saying there about the current uses of? Yeah,
exactly.
Yes,
I wanted to add something like just like to my first comment, but I think we need to understand why you want to implement AI. And the point that I wanted to mention is it is a good usage if you want to forecast, predict, or if you want to detect something particularly, if you want to read an ID automatically and detect if it is fraudulent or valid, or for example, outlining as well a fraudulent transaction. But also on the automatization part, we saw Shaun presentation, and also we had couple of bots also on our side that could be plugged with different kinds of solutions that helping basically any company to scale.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Maybe to move to the next question, if there's no one who would like to add on the AI aspect. I think Matt, you spoke about the fundamentals, the importance of getting the fundamentals right.
Yep.
And my next question, I think, is closely aligned to that. And what are the best CX practices to fuel the growth in banking and financial services with digital strategy?
Sure. So I think from my experience dealing with lots of financial institutions is they have lots of disparate different systems, and getting those to actually have a central view of what that customer is really tough. You know, risk has their one view, marketing has their view of the same person. And you really need to try and bring those together to one person so that you truly understand who I am as Matt, as opposed to just these different views. And I think if they start to get that right and be able to centralize that information, as we've spoken about today, you know, all three of us, our solutions can potentially interact together. But a lot of people don't necessarily spend the time to stick those together and be able to get the true value out of it.
Awesome. And anyone who would like to add, Charl, I see that. Okay. All right. All right. No. Okay. No problem. Yeah. Sorry for putting you on the spot there. Customer optimization or transformation. What should banks and financial services prioritize right now?
Well, I think I can answer that one, Zanzile. In my opinion, is firstly security. Security is going to become a massive factor with the digitalization age, because if you think about the fact that if let's say your financial institution has got a data breach, that's going to go public, and that's going to affect your business quite badly. And I think that's going to be a massive player when it comes to competition and who's going to get the most clients. They're going to lean towards a secure institution, and those type of things is those type of holes, if I can put it, that security holes. It's gonna be way more important in the future when we move more to digitalization and artificial intelligence. It's going to become a massive player. And then the second thing is obviously simplicity for your clients. I mean, on the self-help channels, on your communication channels, the user experience needs to be good. Otherwise, you're going to lose customers to institutions with more simplified systems that gives a better customer experience. So that, in my opinion, is the two main things that they need to focus on. It's simplicity and definitely security.
Absolutely. So as we adopting these technologies to improve customer experience, we need to ensure that we take care of security. I mean, we have had a lot of stories around the cybersecurity issues, recently. And I think when you look at the financial security, financial institutions, they are very sensitive industries, I'll say, and security is a very important consideration. Faheem, would you like to add something there, because you're coming from a risk management perspective, where you are sitting, and I think it will be very imperative to hear from your side. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with the panel discussions on this one. But you see, when actually the pandemic hit us, the most financial institution actually entered in the crisis mode, building the digital capabilities that allow customers to do the services without branches. And as we enter in 2022 now, financial institution must rethink of the definition of digital banking, because every bank was saying that I'm digital, whereas it was not the case. And with the application and the data analytics and technology innovation and the people which that transform the customer experience was somehow lacking. So objective of the organization in terms of the digital transformation processes might be improved for the customer experience, reduce cost, seamless operations, reduce frictions, and more agile in increasing profitability. But everything actually the main objectives circles that how the customer's experience goes on, how the customer actually want, and that's how actually we need to do. Yes, the security is also one of the aspects that definitely we need to see actually in optimization or transformation. But to create the customer centricity organization, we must do. Customer centric organization is actually that you need to listen from the entire 360-degree point of view. All these solutions which my experts are actually presenting, it actually goes in these 6 points. That first, you definitely need to engage your customer, listen to them. Now you engage it through AI, you engage it through the chatbot, you engage it through the your channels, you engage it through different means, but you definitely engage to them. And I like the one which said that don't treat the customer as a ticket, treat them as a human, treat them as a customer that which really need to see. And then foresee their needs also. It's not like what the customer is telling you, you should foresee the solutions which just we have had a demo. It is actually the foresee of the needs. Maybe the customer don't know that this is also going on in the market and the banking is not providing. So that is actually a proactive approach. And then again, creating an empathy, emotional connection with your financial institutions, with the customers. That actually, works very well if you have to work with the demand and optimization and transformation of the customer. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. When you speak of that empathy, I think even when we deploying our technologies to enhance our CX, we still have to maintain that human touch, that human element. So it's very imperative. Ajish, I'll throw this one to you. How do we see the digital adoption with respect to a customer engagement going forward?
You mean from the banking side or from the user side, like as the end users?
Yeah, absolutely. From the banking side, how do we see the digital adoption from a banking perspective?
See, it's like if I talk about Middle East and Africa, it's still slow, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's an honest opinion. Like, it's still slow. People are still picking it up, but like we see it in the positive direction. So if you went, like I'm just talking about, I'm going to quote a very real example over here. Just a few years back, like if you wanted to work with a bank in Dubai, say Saudi, you definitely had to have on-premise solutions. And most of the cloud providers, like say us, Zendesk, or anyone else, like do not have like on-premise solutions, right? Which means like we have to put our data service. It's much more costlier. It's a lot of work, etc., etc. Now, over the period of years, like last 4 years, like I've seen like even say countries which were absolutely not ready to put cloud servers in banking are now open to it, right? Because traditionally they are not able to kind of do all of these, like having that one single experience or one single user profile through all of these on-premise solutions. And on-premise solutions always have like a lot of, I would say, disadvantages rather than having the advantage of it. So just quoting an example again, like this bank in Saudi that we are now onboarding, we're spending like tons and tons of money on SMSs, right? They do have a mobile app, but because there was no vendor which could actually do on-premise solutions, which could help them communicate with the users through the app, they went on spending a lot of money on SMSs. Now that's where the cloud infrastructure came in, the digital adoption came in. They are now rewriting the rules of what cloud infrastructure could look like. So cloud can be inside the country where none of the data actually goes outside, like none of the customer data goes outside the specific country. And that helps the banks also to have a much more agile approach. So this starts with one bank. When one bank starts it, you see that like, okay, these guys are doing it. Why are we not doing it, right? And that's a ripple effect that brings it. But it's more about education. It's more about the country laws being a bit more flexible, I think like that all boils down to how the country looks at it, like the regulations look at it from that point, and how flexible are the risk teams also, right? If the risk team is not flexible at all, there's zero adoption that is going to happen. But if a risk team is much more flexible and they come out with different solutions which can actually integrate, then of course the digital adoption will also grow.
Okay, that's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, just adding a third point, like end users are now, they want digital, right? Like they, if you're talking about like the new age users, they are all on apps, they are all on WhatsApp, they are all on emails, etc. All these channels, right? They want quick actions. Nobody has the patience to wait for a day or 24 hours to get something resolved, right? And that's what, like, say, a Zendesk is solving right now, right? We at Insider, we ourselves use Zendesk, so we know how important it is for us to kind of resolve every customer query that we're getting.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you that the future indeed is digital. I don't remember the last time I visited a branch or bank branch. So all the transactions we operate from our apps or online
And fun
banking
fact,
and so forth.
Yeah, fun fact is like it costs the bank more if you're visiting them, by the way. Right. So back in 2010, when I was working in Citibank, like we had a strict policy that you could visit the bank only 2 times a month. The third time we will charge you for a visit. Right. So it doesn't matter what small thing that you would want to ask. We had everything digital. Call the call center, put a request, everything. Right. So this is back in 2010 I'm talking about. So imagine.
Absolutely. Now maybe to build on that, Charl, in the next let's say 5 years or so, where do we see digital transformation progressing within the financial services space?
Zanzili, it's quite interesting that you guys are talking about branches now, because in my opinion, I think branches are actually going to become a thing of the past. And much the same way where you saw video stores disappearing with Netflix as the digital age actually progresses. So that is something that I see. It's not going to happen quickly, but it's going to happen over time. And I definitely see that happening in the next 5 years. And also automating more repetitive tasks, like definitely self-help channels. Like you guys mentioned, a customer, they don't have 24 hours to wait for a response or to get information back. They want it at the tips of their fingertips. And if you're sitting at night and you want some information about your loan at 11 o'clock at night and there's no contact center agent, but you can go onto a self-help channel and you can get the information that you require. I mean, that's definitely where I see the financial industry going in 5 years. Everything going digital. I'm also very excited about things like digital currencies and IoT devices, and just the potential that can bring to the table. It's all extremely exciting.
Awesome. Thanks, Charl, for that. But maybe a follow-up question. Anyone would be free to take this, because when you speak about the branches being a thing of the past in the next few years, what comes to mind to me is the employees being made redundant because of this adoption of this technology. Because we're closing branch now. So how do we handle that? How do we play around with the issue of unemployment, especially from our side here in South Africa? We've got high levels of unemployment, and when we now adopting these technologies, we exacerbating the challenge. How do we address that? And anyone can
I don't think we're necessarily exacerbating it. I think we're encouraging people to change and to adapt, and I think that's always powerful. You think of Industrial Revolution and all of those things. There's change, and people struggle with that initially, but then they re-job and they learn new skills. Now they learn how to be able to work from home, be able to answer customer queries from home. And I think we're never going to move away from ultimately that personal touch. It might get further and further away potentially with AI taking more and more of those pieces, but I don't think we're ever going to get away from that human component.
I agree with that, Matt, especially because a human understands emotion, and we're not
Yeah.
quite there yet with AI. So I totally agree with that.
Typically,
Exactly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Shaun.
sorry, I was just going to say, I mean, just think about those people that are employed in a bank. They're already skilled. They understand the business, putting them
Yeah.
behind a PC. Somebody, at the end of the day, when you go to the bank, you're still dealing with somebody who sits behind a PC, right?
Yeah.
The only difference is you're not sitting there face to face with them. So already you've got a skilled employee that you can use in an environment where you've got technology and deliver even a better customer experience. You're not going to go sit in the queue and wait 10, 15, 20 minutes. You're getting answered and helped within minutes, within seconds. So absolutely, we've got employees there already. They're skilled. We can use them.
Yeah.
And I think as well to Shaun and Matt said, and as well Charl, is I think it is counterintuitive, but actually the technology will help this company to grow and to hire more people. It's just the resources are shifting towards something different. Okay,
Yes.
regarding it is new market or new activity, and on that point as well, there is also expectation from the customer. To be honest, what we're noticing at Zendesk is people still love to be in touch with people, but they still also love to self-serve. Okay, so we need to respond to that demand. And where it is shifting toward your previous question regarding like, okay, how the market is evaluating, and it is evaluating toward that is today reactive towards something that is proactive. So we will have more people to build a better relationship by trigger the right thing and to contact the people at the right time.
Yeah, totally agree with
Just
that.
want to add, what the panelists have said. There are two narratives right now in the headlines of the world. One is that AI is a magic, and the other is that all jobs are doomed. And both of these headlines are somehow wrong. In WEF, the World Economic Forum, actually have did a research, and it says that 58 million new jobs will be created in the next 5 years in the results of automation. And Deloitte itself also have second that one. They say that they have actually hired around 800,000 lower skilled job people to run the automation or the skills or the consultancies work. The future of jobs is actually changing. Earlier it was MIS officer or a person who was handling the data or something. So the future of job is actually changing, and more of them is actually AI, algorithm kind of trainers, digital process designers, data scientists, and automation engineers, digital labor kind of stewards, or robotic process automation center specialist kind of thing, or any other information security, and security is the vast job, again. So the jobs are actually new created. And if you go to any banking institution or any financial institution, I bet you will find that they have actually want to hire more, and they have budgeted more employees with this new technology which they have actually entered in this for the customer services. Thank you.
Right. Maybe I will add something. Like when we talk about AI, most people think like Terminator movies, right? Like the world is going to end, and
Yeah.
and that's not the case, right? Like it's just making your life easier. And imagine a use case like you have 1 million customers with your bank, and like would you be like us humans, like we cannot comprehend to calculate how many of them are going to probably churn in the next 30 days, right? Because ultimately I'm going to use that data to and you cannot let your call center people call every 1 million customer asking them is everything all right, are you happy with the bank, etc. But imagine pushing that data into AI, and AI coming and telling you like there are these 1,000 people who are going to churn or have a likelihood to churn. It's not going to be absolute, but likelihood to churn. It makes your life easier. You don't have to do a million calls, but you probably have to do 1,000 calls. Just speaking at that part. So this is where AI is helping, right? Maybe this person needs a personal loan, and the AI pops up saying that probably a likelihood to purchase is high for this person, and it might be a personal loan or anything else. That gives the, say, CSR or the call center representative also to kind of check, okay, this might be very interesting, and I don't have to do a bad cross sell or an upsell, right? Because we are used to getting, so do you want a credit card? I already used to from your bank. Why are you calling me for a third? not necessary, right? This is where AI is going to help you kind of have better information and improve your efficiency. And of course, like it's all about skill set being formed over a period of years, which I think all the other gentlemen just covered.
Yeah, so, someone was saying that artificial intelligence should be called artificial dumb because it cannot operate without the
Yes.
human being.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe just to take a few questions from the audience. I think one question here is about what would you say are the critical success factors for building a business continuity plan in an AI-based environment? And anyone can take that. Thank you, Tandisa, for that question.
I'll answer that one. So depending on your vendor or your business partner of choice, typically when you choose a product that is cloud based, the vendor has multiple data centers where your potential platform is hosted. So from a continuity business perspective, you got two environments. You don't have to worry about that. You focus on your business. The vendor focuses on the platform to ensure the platform is up. So, once again, go back to the business plan, look at the business plan, choose the right partner, choose the right product, and make it their responsibility. You pay them for their services, you pay them for their licensing, that type of stuff. It is their responsibility to make sure that there's redundancy. If there's not, there's going to be a problem, right? When you sign a contract, you sign an SLA, and it's up to the vendor to make sure that SLA is adhered to. So yeah, that would be my advice. Cloud, there's redundancy, it's built in. You don't need to worry about multiple data centers in your own building. You don't have to worry about equipment. It's pretty seamless, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Shaun, for that. Anyone would like to add on?
I'll add a little bit to that as well. So Zendesk is built on AWS as well, and we're distributed across all the locations of AWS across the world. So there's a crazy amount of redundancy potentially there, as well as it allows you to be able to push that data set to other solutions like in AWS as well, to be able to do some sentiment analysis or something like that. So it sets you up really well when you want to be able to extend, but allowing, as Shaun was saying, that continuity. So you can bet your bottom dollar that it's not going to go down, and it's not that server that's sitting locally next door to you that is potentially going to get tripped up by Escom or the like.
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe another question here. I think it's about CSR. My question as a CSR is for the customer software solutions, and that is there is room for escalating specific issues that are beyond and the CSR to specific teams, and how fast do the customer generate or get resolution? Sorry, I'm not sure whether I get the question there, but yeah. Anyone who would be interested in taking that question, I've put it on the screen there.
So if I well understand, basically the question, it is more regarding like the resolution time regarding a question that is touching the cost, the social response, the company's social responsibility. So my point on that is, like, as it is mentioned before, speed is key. And I think it's all down, to your company to define how they can't have a one-touch resolution and what is needed to have a one-touch resolution in order to kind of raise and get to the level that you want.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. Anyone who would like to add before we close? Yeah, maybe because of time, I think our panel was supposed to be about 30 minutes, but I think I will give each panelist maximum a minute, just to give some closing remarks on this topic, on how we can really improve customer experience within the financial services industry. This time around, we'll start from Faheem, and then Faheem.
Thank you. So my last remarks will be, let's say that every financial institutions actually tells their organization that they are different from others because of the customer experience they deliver. But every single of them have the story about how they are operating, and definitely their customer experience is good or bad. So you cannot measure the customer experience only from the NPS scores, the Net Promoter scores, and all that. You definitely need to bring the customers, with the organization of the listening strategy, and that listening strategy can only come through the technology, through the digital transformation strategies, or the digital strategies which you need to build. And again, you need to develop the behavior persona, not only by interviewing or other channels, but by interviewing, surveys, customer data, and other services, behavior kind of thing. And also
Okay.
through the technology of value, goals, lifestyles, attitude of the customers, that how it is behaving. What I mean that you really need to build a customer journey, and customer journey, once you will build, then definitely you need to ease the some of the areas where the customer really want a quick services and a tools from the organization that he or she can actually run very quickly. So the true customer centricity is the secret sauce, and that is really separating many organizations throughout the financial services industry. And technology definitely is enabling and accelerating in the impact of customer experience based on the consumer expectations, needs, and definitely wants, whatever the customer needs. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Faheem. Ajish?
Yeah, I think like two things, and I think like the first thing is invest in the right tools and technologies. I think like that is the most important part, and also look for technologies that are integrated like closely. Like you might have like five different technologies being used, but you need to make sure that all of these can be integrated with each other, right? And the second part for this is basically getting all the teams who are looking at the say client facing roles to or the heads of these client facing roles to be in one room when you're evaluating all of these technologies also, because that's where the broken piece is. A CSR might go ahead and buy something that is not being be able to integrate with any of the other systems or any of the other client facing system, and that will create a problem, right? So I think like these are the two focus points: getting all the team together at one place and making sure everybody is in line with the technologies that are being bought, and then just investing into the right technologies, right?
Okay. Thank you so much, Ajish. Shal?
Yeah, so my closing remarks will be, it's actually building on what Shaun said, is to choose the right partner, and then a partner that you can trust that will take care of that element of your business, and then also the right technology to actually future proof it. And if I can give a piece of advice for customers, is don't start too big. Don't try and do too many at the same time. Approach your digital journey like a puzzle. So you start small, you make one piece work. When you're happy with that, you move on to the next piece. And it's also important. And another piece of advice is don't take away the human element completely, because, like I said earlier, um, just talking to a self-help bot, etc., they don't have empathy. So you always need the ability to offer hand to a human if the client does need it. So that's quite important.
Thank you, Shal. Shaun?
I was actually in a webinar the other day, and one of the panelists was actually was asked a question like, what would you have done differently if you were implementing or starting up a call center? And I'm not going to talk about products and stuff like that, but the individual just said, I wouldn't have integrated my social media. And I just thought to
Okay.
myself, well, why wouldn't you have done that? And when she went deeper into her story, we realized that it was just too much. So to Charles' point, take small chunks and do bits and pieces at a time, but also make sure it's the right product that has the capability to seamlessly add on and build and grow. You don't want to take a product that is focused on telephony and now you're trying to plug in social media or email for that matter, which is typically how your call center will grow. It will go from voice, which has almost become redundant, is now in email and social and WhatsApp. So just choose a product that has the capability out the box, not add on and cost a fortune down the line. just do your homework, do your due diligence before you make those choices. And also from a SafriCloud perspective, we're also going to be doing some online assessments just to gauge your strengths and your weaknesses. So if you're interested to do it, it's going to be up on our website soon. There'll be a link there. It will take you to a 5-minute assessment, and from there we can help you and guide you through the process.
Thank you so much, Shaun. Hassen?
So I would very echo what Shaun said, like really choose a solution that will be reliable, because implementing a new solution is it require a lot of heavy lifting. So you need to have it right and to have the right partner for that. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and that is mentioned by Faheem, where we should not forget, the human element. And I think we should also listen from the complaint that you are receiving eventually for your customer. Okay, we learn a lot from it, and from that you can define objective. And as Shaun and Charl mentioned, really take it puzzle by puzzle, where you could resolve them and move the needle and progress every day from it.
Thank you so much. And finally, Matt.
So having interacted with lots of companies that have struggled initially to be able to get these types of solutions up and running, I would say invest the time and energy to do it right up front. Don't hope that you're just going to be able to pay a check and then it's going to resolve the issue. It's a change of people as well as technology. And I think if more people thought of that before just implementing something and hoping that their checkbook could solve their issue, and now they can say that they are customer centric just because they bought something, they need to sort of think about how they're actually going to change their organization to focus on that customer as opposed to just the technology.
Yeah, that is a great point, Matt. 100% agree with that. That's a very great point.
On that note, gentlemen, thank you so much for your insights, time, and sharing with us all those insights and demonstrations of your technology in use. We really appreciate. And to our attendees, we thank you also for gracing this occasion and participating in this webinar. We'd like also to thank our sponsors for this event. Insider, thank you so much. We also want to thank SafriCloud and Zendesk. Thank you so much for making this event possible. So this is the end of our presentation for the webinar today. We appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zenzele. Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. That was great.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.